Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a what? Like a motherfucking smack at it. Let's get it. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. And I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled by it. New Folsom. Again. It seems like every other video is New Folsom, right? Fucking New Folsom's off the hook right now. Sacramento stand-up. Sakura is crazy. New Folsom Prison, California State Prison, New Folsom is off the chain. And I wanted to speak on an individual and talk about how this is even possible. Now, for those that watch my videos already know that I talked about Cody Taylor, who has been convicted on 2 different murders, or actually he's been convicted on 1 murder and has another one pending, but I'm sure he'll get convicted on it because, I mean, it was done right there and wide open where everyone could see it in New Folsom. Okay, so I don't know what's going on over there, but because rules have changed within the California Department of Corrections and things are just different, guys that once would do a murder on a yard would immediately be validated or segregated from other people, sent to the hole for a long duration, and then placed in the shoe for several years, where 1 or 2 things happened. Either they changed their mindset, they got some get right, or they stood back there forever and they just rotted away. But they were kept off of the general population yard for safety and security concerns. I mean, these guys were known killers. They were hitters, is what you would call them in prison, right? But things have changed. It doesn't work like that anymore. This guy that you see on the thumbnail, Tyler Yates, okay, is an individual who's locked up and has been locked up for several years now in the California Department of Corrections, New Folsom. And he is now not on his first, not his second, but his 3rd body, right? So the first time he was convicted of a killing in that prison, him and another individual went out to the yard where it's being alleged, well, it's not even alleged, he caught life with the possibility of parole for stabbing another inmate. Now, when you're into politics, when you're in the gangs, when you're doing what you have to do, then you do what you have to do, right? He came in convicted doing an 8-year sentence for GBI, great bodily injury, and assault, right, and a robbery, and has turned that now into multiple life sentences. So the first one, him and his crimey, they go out onto the yard, they handle business. It is what it is, you know, and this is what I say to all the youngsters that are gang members that are looking to go to prison for validation, to prove that there's somebody. The big bad wolf's there now. The monsters are not being tucked away. Them same monsters that you'll see bludgeon someone or kill someone on the yard in front of you, guess what? They'll be back in a month or 2, and you'll be sorry. Now it's a situation, and I can see it from 2 different ways. I can see it as like, wow, what the fuck is going on? Which is the first way I look at it. And then 2, it's like, good. That way you learn. Now someone's going to learn. These guys that would do these murders, and they happen more infrequently than they are happening now, because there was a lot of people that didn't want to get life. They didn't want to be tucked away in the shoe forever. But now because they're not doing that anymore and they're releasing them right back into the same fucking yard where they committed these murders, it's a situation now where it's just like, hey, it's a free-for-all. You know, they're not, what can you do anyways when you got life? And these guys are hitters. It's a mentality. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone does it. But there are very few chosen that are willing to raise their hand or willing to go all the way and make the ultimate sacrifice. It happens all the time. This guy, Tyler Yates, he gets caught up on the first murder. He goes all the way to court, fast tracks it, and catches life with the possibility of parole. I'm not too sure what his crime he caught out of it, but I know what he got. Immediately, within a few months, he's released back onto the yard, the same yard where he did this murder, and picks up a second one that is now still pending in the courts, right? And while that one is pending, what does he do? He gets caught up in another murder for committing a murder on his cellmate, right? So his cellmate, his last name was Kennedy. I think his name is Jake Kennedy. They were celled up. Good old white boys celled up white men, brother, right? And the cops were doing a count, came by, seen his cellie unresponsive with several holes in his body, and immediately Tyler Yates submitted to restraints. He's a straight up killing machine. And it seems like New Folsom is the new destination for murder. It's a place where, because it has such a long history and is so well respected within the system, it's kind of like a destination, a stop like High Desert or Pelican Bay. If you've made it to New Folsom, you've truly made it. I know in the gang world or in the group segment world in prison, New Folsom is considered that one of those ones. Right now, when you think Folsom, you think Old Folsom. But for those of you that don't know, Old Folsom is actually a lower level prison. It has been for several years. It is the second oldest penitentiary or prison in the state of California after San Quentin. And, a lot of people that go there are able to do their time and just get out because it is a lower level facility. Now, at one point in time, Old Folsom was rocky. Old Folsom was notorious. You see these movies like American Me and several other movies where Old Folsom is either mentioned or you see it with your own eyes. It's a very old, dungeness looking, not dungeness crap, but dungeness looking prison. Okay. New Folsom's more state of the art. It's different. Built in the 90s. It's or 80s or 90s. It's a more traditional prison that you're used to nowadays. All these prisons got a similar buildup, a similar look, especially 270, 180 designs. They all look the same. Okay. But the thing that changes the character of a prison is the convicts that are there, the mentality that's there, and the COs that are working there. You can go to some place like Pelican Bay or even Susanville, and I'm not going to lie, man, it's felt like the COs that were there running them yards were there was a lot of discrimination going on. I don't want to say racist, but there was a lot of discrimination going on. And if you weren't a certain pigmentation or you weren't a certain somebody, you didn't get no action or no love whatsoever. You got treated like how they wanted to treat you. Now, in places like New Folsom, because it's near Sacramento, okay, you got a lot of the COs that are from around the way. They're from the hood, they're from the barrios, or from whatever. They grew up around gang members, so they know that life. They live that lifestyle. They listen to Brother Lynch, X-Rated, SIBO, all that, right? And these guys make it a little bit easier to do time around because they treat people more fairly. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be COs that are assholes. That's everywhere you go. But the majority of the COs that are there running the program on the yard are going to just be there to do their time. They're going to be cool about it. So this dude, Tyler Yates, I'm tripping off his story. And the reason why I wanted to shed light on it is, when's this rule going to stop that you're just released right back out into the yard? I seen one murder committed while I was in Tracy and never seen that guy ever again. Now, for those of you that don't know the story, I'm going to tell you guys a quick story because this is one of the prison murders that I seen on the celly. I was just like, wow, it was so close. I could hear the guy screaming the wall over, right? So in Tracy, I was on J-Wing. I forget the year. And what had happened was in the evening times, they would bring more people into the building. And everybody would get on their doors and kind of see if you knew someone who was coming through, That was our first way of kind of vetting people was initially by the look. If people had a certain tattoo, you could kind of be like, okay, he got a lightning bolt on his head, a swastika. He's probably a wood or a skin. Okay, he's got a 13 on his head. We know what he is, a South Sider. He's Huelga bird over his eye, Northerner. You could Crips, Bloods, North Bay Thugs, all that. You could kind of figure it out. So this guy comes in, big old white man, right? I say white man with the capital man, right? This motherfucker was just a big old dude. And he looked like the Iceman, Chuck Liddell, walking in all blasted back from the chin down. And you could just tell the way he carried himself, the way he walked in, the fear was not there of nothing or nobody. I recognized the look in his eyes, the look that this guy is playing for keeps. This is a real one, okay? This is someone that you see, and I don't know if you've ever been locked up, incarcerated, or around some real hitters, real killers. You know them when you see them, okay? They carry themselves different. Don't get it twisted. Don't judge a book by its cover and think because motherfucker looks like a Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, he won't get off on you, because he most definitely will. But there's just certain dudes, the aura around them, the way they carry themselves. No, not Wes Watson. Not you. And no, hey, Doggy. Not you either, big boy. Doggy. Not you. Big Joe, maybe. But you see dudes walk in, bomb, and you're like, okay, this motherfucker right here, I don't want to be sold up with him. Anyways, he walked in, and he was carrying this little paper bag or whatever. And so immediately I had a cell. It was me and my cellie from San Jose, and next door was a younger white guy, just a regular wood. Wasn't probably racial or anything like that on the streets, but just had to get with the program and kick it with his people. It was functioning. It was a general population tier. I didn't know him from a bowl of spilt fucking sopita, but one thing I did know was he was in good standings. That was for sure. So, anyways, they bring this white guy in, and he's big old dude, and I'm looking at him, and he's telling the cops, and the cops like, "Where'd you come from?" The sergeant at the time. He's like, "I came from high desert." I knew it was at that exact moment. I said, "Oh man, someone's probably gonna get stabbed around here, right?" High desert at that time was notorious. High desert, they were having killings left and right. They were establishing certain parts of that yard. I remember at that time, B Yard was cracking off between North and Cumis. The Norteños and the Cumis were going at it. Southerners were going at it with the Woods at that time, with certain woods and skins. It was just popping like for reals. And High Desert has that notorious nature. It has that reputation of being a dangerous situation. So anyone coming from there had a whole different mentality. These guys were doing all day, most of them. And there was that old saying, you know, if you want to really show what you're about in High Desert, when you do a pegada, you hit them 100 times. Anything less would be uncivilized. So I hear I'm being fucking nosy through the crack of the door. I'm not bumping baking soda breath, but I'm listening. And he's like, "I just came from High Desert," right? And he tells the cop, he looks in and he sees his cellie, and he tells the cop, "Hey," and I can hear him. It's plain as day. He said, "Hey, I can't, I'm single celled, man. You got to look at my jacket. I'm single celled. I can't have a cellie. I can't take a cellie." And the cop there, was evening shift. It was about to switch. The shifts were about to switch, right? And the cop tells him, or he was going to leave or whatever. He tells him, "Hey, look, you're just going to have to deal with it to the morning. Give me the morning. I'll get out the other sergeant in the morning. I'll get you moved, but you're just going to have to deal with it." He said, "Look, man, I ain't going in that cell. If you put me in that cell, I'm going to kill that dude in there." Straight up. Now, imagine the guy's in the cell, his cellie, listening to this shit. I don't know about you, but I would have reached deep into my fucking rectal cavity and pulled out whatever I had in there. I don't care if it was just a bundle. I'd have threw it at him as soon as he walked in. Splat, shit all over him, right? I'd have farted shit on myself, and he'd have walked in there like, ugh, that'd have gave me just enough time to get off. Look, I don't know what situation you've been in. Prison is real. When you have a big old beast on the other side of the door, and they're about to open the door, and he's saying, "If you put me in there, I'm going to kill this dude." He doesn't know him, doesn't know his family, doesn't know where he's from, doesn't give a fuck. That High Desert mentality was different. The cop says, "Look, man, I don't care about all that. You're going to have to wait till the morning. It just is what it is. We're short on bed space. Go in there." Now, that dude could have did several things. He could have said, nah, he could have refused and went to K-Wing, which is the whole, he could have made noise. But instead, he said, okay. All right, brother. Put me in there then, brother. Hurry up. I want to kill something, right? They cracked that door, and I heard the other dude immediately say, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, huh. Right? He grunted like a Viking. That fool went in there, okay? And I say fool, not foolishly. But he went in there, and you could hear him kind of talking, kind of thicker walls in Tracy, so it's hard to hear. But because the windows were broken out in the back, you could kind of hear the conversation if you listen close, which means my cellular ears were glued to the shit. Nosy-ass Northerners, right? We're trying to hear what the white man's talking about. And I could hear him talking in there lightly. And I thought, maybe he was just putting on a show, the big dude for the cops. Next morning, it's chow time, okay? They're feeding us breakfast. And at breakfast, they would give you your sack lunch and your breakfast for the morning, which would be a hard-boiled egg, toast, whatever you got. I love the cinnamon roll, though. That shit hit different in Tracy. Those that know. Not everyone will experience that. Peanut butter, das. Oatmeal, you know the game. You know the game plan. So anyways, he comes, the cop, the sergeant, coming up there to do the cell move, and lo and behold, what do you think happened? Yeah, well, the young white guy didn't make it. I'll just say that. The other guy grabs the lunches. The cop's like, "Hey, what's up with your cellie? Why is he purple?" Right? And that was it. He said, "Oh, I killed him." And they removed him out of the cell, and I was like, wow. That was my first ever seeing a cellie killing another cellie in my life, like right there. Like, so meanwhile, while me and my cellie were over there eating a sopa, there was some strangulation going on next door. It's crazy, right? It's not a laughing matter because that dude had a family. That dude didn't even warrant that, man. He was a good dude. He was just a regular kid, doing whatever he was doing. And that because something as simple as not being able to be single-celled, that's what happened. Okay, so now CDC has changed, though. What happened immediately was that guy was taken to the hole. I'm sure he caught a case. I'm sure because they black bagged the body and took that other dude down the stairs, right? Everyone was like, oh, shit. I was telling my homeboys in sign language, I heard it, right? Like, so he's gone. And something like that, it's like you're never going to see him for years. He's going to go to the hole. He might be validated. They're going to find a reason to segregate him because they know he's dangerous. Okay, kind of like what they did with that dude, Jaime Osuna from Bakersfield that killed his cellie. They segregated him. They kept him away from people. He's a single man cell. For for the longest time, he's in the hole and whatever. Times have changed. The rules are different now in CDC. Okay. Nowadays, you commit a jailhouse murder, you are released within months, right back to that same yard. Okay. Usually when something goes down on the yard, there's different elements to this. Let me explain something to you. If it's a removal by your set group and you're a hitter and you go out there and you do that, okay, it just is what it is. If it's within your own people, no one else is going to blink or bat an eyelash or blink an eye. You know, they're not caring. You handled your own business. That's what's expected. Everyone takes care of their own and handles their own trash. It's facts, right? But at the same time, you know, it can cause tension on the yard, especially when maybe someone owed someone some money or, you know, so you don't know what type of element you're going back to when you go to that yard. Dudes take everything personally. That's one thing about prison. It's all about respect, the way you carry yourself, and people take shit personal. I seen a guy get hit on the yard because he owed someone $5. He kept bullshitting him. He could have easily gave him a fucking deodorant and said, here, toma, there you go. I leave her $2,000 and a deodorant. Double up. You're good. But instead, he kept procrastinating and bullshitting and getting in more debt. And eventually the dude felt like it wasn't even about the $5 anymore. It was about the disrespect. And when that guy went out on the yard, he poked him up. Didn't kill him, but poked him. Okay? Poked him where the sun don't shine, from the rooter to the tutor. It happens. Prison's a different animal. Okay? Be prepared for this if you're ever incarcerated, especially if you're in the California system and you're involved in the politics and the gangs. Then it becomes even more violent. So this guy, Tyler Yates, you know, to be released onto the yard, this is the third time. And to be responsible or accused of the jailhouse murders or the prison murders, it's like, when is CDC going to realize, like, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing here? And again, I think this is a situation where they want the violence. They don't want the violence on the staff member. If it happens on a staff member, motherfucker's going to get shipped. Wherever he goes, he's going to get 2 black eyes, right? But when it happens, inmate on inmate, convict on convict, or whatever you want to call it, it's just fueling the fire of this is the reason why they don't like certain people on these yards. But I mean, they're releasing this type of element, this type of person onto a yard. And I'll explain to you, when someone can go to the extreme of killing someone in prison, okay, because it's not the easiest thing to do. I've never been involved in it, period. Okay, but I've seen it. And when people can go to that extreme and then do it again and then do it again, man, that's a dangerous situation for anyone there, because this guy, he's become numb to it now. You know, I don't know if he's doing it for cleanups or if he's doing it because he's just got that type of mentality. He don't give a fuck. But we're talking about someone who went in with less than a decade, and that ain't nothing. That's chicken scratch time. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Once you start hitting double digits, you start feeling it. But anyone knows that anyone that's been locked up, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ain't shit. That shit goes by fast, right? Hey, you know, that within 8 years, Diddy had Mace, Bieber, Usher, Meek Mills, and Bad Bunny. And then boom, you're out, right? So he was doing his thing, having his time, and you were doing your time. See? The timing. Anyways, you know what I mean? Meek Mills and that motherfucker struggling. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker wished he was incarcerated with Tyler Yates. I've met a lot of white men incarcerated. Okay. I've seen a lot of guys that look similar to Tyler Yates. You know, I don't know his affiliation. I don't know if he's a skin or he's a wood. But I've seen that look before. I've seen these type of guys. You know, a lot of these guys come in non-political. They're not racial. They don't discriminate against no one. A lot of them got black or Mexican baby mamas, or they listen to Mac Dre on the daily. Like, they're not into that. But prison is prison in the California system. Everything is drawn on racial lines. So you have to go in there. You have to function with your people. I'm not mad at you for that. Why would I be? You know, you adapt to your surroundings. But a lot of these guys do get in and a screw falls loose somewhere walking into that yard. And they either get pushed into doing something, raising their hand to do something for the benefit of their cause or their people. And they turn into maniacs. Tyler Yates, you know, I don't know him, like I said, from a crusty ass cinnamon roll that's 2 days old in Tracy, but I do know that this guy's on his third body. And it seems to me like, you know, at first it's kind of like this. It's like the same thing with Cody Taylor. It seemed to me like these guys that are doing these murders, they were being utilized as tools to do it. I just don't understand what CDC's reasoning is to put these type of dangerous individuals back on the exact same yards they were on, because the tensions are high. You know, people are going to be talking about you. They're gonna be like, hey, that motherfucker's crazy. And that doesn't mean that people are gonna stop bullshitting and not still get in your way, because people are dumb enough to do that. You know, if I see someone, I've met people on the yard. I'll tell you guys another quick little story I've told before, but another quick one, right? It was on a yard. There was a dude there, an old man. And I sat down. Now at this prison, you got assigned seating, meaning every time there was cops right there and they would tell you, go sit there, go sit there, go sit there. The lines would just go each way, right? You know, it wasn't like old school penitentiary rules where, hey, all the northerners sit here, all the southerners sit there, all the black, you know, there was none of that. You sat with who you wanted to sit with, who they made you sit with. So it was me, a black dude, I think it was a paisa, and it was an older white gentleman, right? Now, jailhouse rules are different no matter where you go, okay? But there's certain things you don't do. You don't eye fuck a motherfucker's food. You don't talk over someone's food, touch their food. This is proper etiquette in a chow hall. You just don't do it, okay? Especially someone from a different race or ethnicity. You already know you can't eat after them. You already know you ain't got none coming. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I'm going to tell you what happened. So there's also a rule in prison, or was in that place, like if you pushed your tray to the middle and you didn't touch it, okay, then certain groups would eat. You know, like if a black man did it, I'm going to be honest with you, the white man was not going to eat after him. A southerner was not going to eat after a black or a northerner. You know, northerners would eat after the blacks, but not if they touched it, and vice versa. And the whites were not supposed to eat after no one, but they did whatever they felt they wanted to do if they were hungry. So this older gentleman is a white guy, non-affiliate, but still kicks it with his people on the yard. I just sat down and we had a salad. And first thing he says, because I started eating my little meatloaf or whatever they're saying, he's like, hey, youngster, you going to eat that salad? And immediately I went into kill mode. Okay, immediately I went into, the fuck you talking about, bro? Why are you asking me about my food, homie? You're not my people. See, if it was a homeboy, he's like, hey, you can eat your salad for, like, take it for you want it, right? I know it's the asshole in me, but that's just how prison is. You have to stand your ground. You have to go by these rules. So I was like, bro, you got me fucked up. And he was like, oh, my bad, youngster, my bad. So then, just to be an asshole, you know what I mean? I touched my salad, then I pushed it into the middle. Don't move, right? So I come out, as I'm coming out, I'm walking with a homeboy from Stockton, and I'm telling him, like, hey, bro, can you believe this old man, this white man, trying to get me? You know what I mean? I'll dig something out my ass. I don't even get my, right? And he's like, you know who that dude is? I said, nah. So he ran me down. He said, that dude already fucking, he's been down for like 50 years, bro. He's on like his 8th prison murder. I said, what? Oh, hell no. Hey, my attitude changed abruptly, immediately. I got confuzzled at that moment, right? I immediately went to the cell and I paced a little bit. My cellie said, what's wrong with you? And I said, man, I think I done fucked with the most vicious person on this yard. I went out to the yard. He was walking the track. Remember, he's a non-affiliate, so I didn't really associate with the wood skins. We didn't function on the same side of the yard. But when you're on the track, you can kind of catch up to someone. So me and the homie caught up to him. I made sure the homie was right there with a big old knife close to me, right? And I was like, hey, man, can I talk to you? And he's walking with his cellie or some dude wearing fucking short shorts, right? I don't know what they were into. But I was like, hey, my bad, man. I apologize for coming at you crazy. And I was being respectful, and I was looking out for my own back. He was like, oh, it's good, youngster. I fucked up. It was my bad, right? So I still watched him on that yard for a couple of weeks before I felt comfortable enough to put my guard down a little bit, right? That's just how it is. Stone cold killers are not to be fucked with on the yard. They get respect. You know, my thing is, what is going on in New Folsom? Why are they releasing these killers right back onto the same exact yard? Is there nowhere else to put them? Or is this just their way of getting everybody slammed back? I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments, man. New Folsom is off the hook right now. Riots, stabbings, murders. Now they're on a modified program, lockdown. It's just a trip, right? With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people. Gracias.